all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weird Science Marvel Comics podcast. I believe episode 72. It is the legacy number 572, whatever. Here we are. We have Spider-Man books. We have both Amazing Spider-Man and Ultimate Spider-Man. And then we have Wolverine Revenge, the penultimate issue. And that it seems like it's been a while since we talked about
a couple months.
that.
Yeah.
It's like one of those where it seems like it's a while that we talked about that. And it seems like every single day we talk about Amazing Spider-Man.
Every week.
But we also have Ultimate Spider-Man that just comes out every monthly, deal and tells you that it is one
Very
day
monthly.
in the month. And it comes out, and this issue takes place on January 31st, it seems, the end of January, right? That's what it says. But yet nobody seems to be preparing or doing anything for New Year's. Actually, I'm even off because that was last time. This
later.
is like screws me. The idea of this whole play, and a person did end up saying at one point, it's messed with me since, is like, because they do that, we get to see what should be the most exciting day of that month. And it must be real boring a lot of the rest of the month. Like, really, like the rest of the month, who knows what's going on? They have a twist in this one, but we'll talk about if we like it. But we start out with The Amazing Spider-Man, as we always do. The Amazing Spider-Man number 66, Mario Lemieux. And it's Justina Ireland. Art by Andrea Baccardo. Marcel Menez and Eric Arcineg on colors, and BC's Joe Caramagna on letters. The whole Deaths issue, that was more about Coulson and how Death picked him. The idea that we even said this meant nothing, whatever. Well, lo and behold, it does mean something, but in a weird way to get to this, and it still ends up. I'm not going to say that makes me like that issue better. It makes me mad that you didn't make it a regular issue and just make it about what's going on. But the problem I have with this, and what I think they have, is Peter quit. How many more times can we just have him moping around? Quitting, right?
He's so annoying in his mope mode. Just
the worst.
Punk. Yeah, he's just walking around.
This is the thing. If they think, and now it's Justina Ireland, that Landy guy and Joe Kelly, obviously. If they think that we should feel sorry for Peter.
I don't at all.
They better be writing him as a dick.
Yeah, they are.
Because he is. Because the idea of woe is me is that he gets through this. And you see at the one point where Doctor Strange and this Sierra, they're talking about it, trying to get you to feel bad for Peter because he went through 8 million deaths. But with that, he's just acting 8 million, 8 trillion, whatever, gazillion. He's acting like a jerk. And he's acting like a jerk in a way that goes so much against Peter himself, but also against the situation. When you see people, I would think, if you see people dying you see their deaths. Oh, my God, Aunt May's going to die 20 years from now. Why does that mean be a dick to her in the here and now? Wouldn't you want to actually try to
spend
have
time
some
with
quality
her.
time with her?
Yes. Because you know there's a deadline attached.
And the thing is that I think that they lose track of, and you had said before we started that, and we have like Justine Ireland's issues a little more. I mean, but this is like, you're playing how low can you go here, limbo and whatnot. This issue, though, she definitely doesn't get the idea of a Peter who would fight for just that little bit of time. And in that, Peter, in my mind, would just want them to, not him, them to have a good rest of their life. But he's just going to give up so they die. So woe is me, it's done. But Aunt May, right now, Aunt May needs help, and help he promised to do her feast stuff. And I get it. I'm kind of sick of hearing her yapping about the feast stuff myself. But the idea with Peter, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's pretty much screwed her over. He's not going to help now. And he's like, whatever, and walks away. This should be where, and we kind of get the idea that, he's going to end up coming back, or at least they're not going to end up, the world's not going to end. So is this Joe Kelly setting up? Because some of these things seem to be setting up stuff now for his run.
It has to be.
You know what I mean? Because Shay, done. She's kicked to the curb.
Yep.
Because I guess Joe Kelly's like, I don't care about her. I want her out. So he does it, but he could have done it in a better way. But instead, they kind of hint at, oh, man, Peter actually likes her, so that you could kick him in the balls here, or kick us. And then in this whole play, though, and everybody, you can't have, when that number one comes, Aunt May. Aunt May, to me, this is it. I've read enough now of the idea that Peter screws her over constantly. And to me, if I'm her, I'm done. I am done. So when this comes to the number one, maybe it's just Joe Kelly's like, I don't want all these extraneous characters, but these are Aunt May. These are Randy. And I
foundational
think
characters.
I think what he's doing is, I'm going to make Peter a dick until he's not, but these people will be mad. But remember, what happened at the beginning of Zeb Wells' run? We were told that Aunt May wouldn't talk to Peter because of that money and how he ended up all this, and she's broke, and she's this and that and the other thing. And lo and behold, what happens then? You just shove that aside, and then I'm sick of that. I'm sick of Aunt May being mad, and then nothing's resolved, and then she's back. And then at the end of Zeb's run, he actually makes it so that Aunt May and Peter are tight again, and then it's just rolling. This is the roller coaster ride of this book, and it's just bad. And Justina Ireland here, again, not really good, and I don't think that she doesn't get, I think, the pomp and circumstance of something like the Scions of Sidorak talking to Daddy here, which I do love the idea, almost like they play, and you see the Sierra. I love her play is like, hey, Daddy, if you don't want us to do this, don't say anything, because he's just there. He
doesn't talk.
Yeah, so she almost plays that. If you want him to be the big deal, then say so. Oh, he didn't say anything. Let's go. But this gets convoluted. I said the whole contest and the rules, even now, it feels like what they're saying is Peter won the last round by default because they cheated, because you ended up having Kalex jump in when he wasn't, but he never gave up. It's nonsense. And that's what I say. I say nonsense a lot. Mm-hmm. But when you're there as a scion of Sidorak, and you're there in the Crimson Chaos, and you have him go, Father, did you see that nonsense? Like, it's not big enough. It doesn't have any weight to it. This should be a scene. I remember we were there at the Crimson Chaos at one point, and we thought, oh man, this seems kind of cool, but there's no weight to it. It's a joke. You end up having, okay, oh man, this sucks. And really, the other play that I'll give is the idea of no weight to this contest at all. You keep being told that the world's going to end. We want to bet on that? You think the world's going to end?
0% chance.
So then but on the other side, all they're doing is trying to get the attention of their daddy, but nothing happens to them either. Like, they're just there. Even the ones they're just there. Yeah. I remember at the one point, you have to die because, fighting gods and demons, it takes a toll, whatever. It just feels like
they just come
joke.
back too. Nothing happens.
Yeah, they
to them.
just come back like nothing has weight to it. Peter has the reeds. They just come back. They're just pissed. They're fighting amongst themselves, but it's not interesting. I don't care who wins. And then in the Sierra, she ends up pretty much seemingly falling in love with Peter.
Yeah,
she's all obsessed with it. But then we also have the next round, which we were told, it's going to get even tougher now. But we're so much more concerned with Sad Sack Peter and the Sierra, they're walking around with Dr. Strange, that we really don't even get what the next deal is and what's going to happen. And then at the end, just spoiler alert, they're going to have to fight the X-Men, which then throws everything off, because isn't this a contest? Again, if I end up where I go to the Eagles game this coming up weekend, playing Washington, they're going, and Jalen Hurts, his knees kind of hurt, it goes bad. I'm not allowed to come out of the stands and play. Like, that's what this feels like at the end. They're like, oh, well, we'll go.
He's not eligible.
No. And in that, if that's the case, then get everybody. Yeah. Like, you end up throwing in something you think is cool, but it throws everything off. But in the meantime, dickhead Peter.
Well, instead of giving up, Peter would naturally go to the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men. He'd get everybody on his side and fix it.
Yeah. And also another thing, wouldn't give up. Never.
No.
The idea that...
So that the world ends?
Isn't this the play that if we're going to do something and you're writing it and you have one lick of talent, you would sit there and say, like, everybody else would be devastated. Why isn't this guy Spider-Man, Peter Parker? Why isn't he giving up? Why isn't he giving up? And we'd say because a lot of superheroes don't have family. They don't have people they love. They're kind of solitary deal, like a Tony Stark cares about himself, things like that. But that's not Peter. So when he sees these deaths, that makes him buckle down. Even if it's like, oh, that you're going to fight for that person. Like, if somebody came to Peter Parker Spider-Man normally and said, listen, here's a guy who's going to die. in 2 days, but he might die now. Peter's still saving him.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to save him that day. And even if it's, you can't change anything in 2 days. And what he would say is, at least he has 2 days, and would probably say to the guy, listen, do you have family? Go spend the next 2 days. I can't say it, but go spend the next 2 days with your family and make everything good with them, whatever. He doesn't do that. He's eating freaking ice cream pizza. He's like, next thing you know, it's gonna be giant sized Peter.
I hope he gains weight.
Up.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like the idea, he should be embarrassed of what he's doing. And then even that, where there's a Doctor Strange, astral projection, Doctor Strange ghost, and he's just like, well, what can we do? Really?
Yeah.
Like this is this is the end of everything
yeah,
here. It seems. You don't just say, oh, woe is me. I guess I didn't do it. It's ridiculous.
I think to your point earlier about the scope of this thing, I think this is too big for this book.
It's too big. And then so he tries to pull it back, though.
Yeah,
but
they pull it back. This should be a summer event that includes everything in the Marvel Universe to take care of these guys.
And they do all this wacky
It's too
events.
big, and by doing it in the Spider-Man book, it then becomes too small.
Yeah, well, it's too big,
mishandled.
but they want to try to make it small because it doesn't work.
Because it doesn't work because it's not coherent enough. It needs to be bigger.
And then also if you have there's like so many things that go wrong. The idea that he's not going to fight, well, then somebody else has to, as we see.
He's letting this poor guy get robbed at a convenience store. Doesn't do anything.
Again, Uncle Ben. And this is just outrageous. The idea that he would just let this guy after what happened with Uncle Ben. And so what I was going to say,
while it's happening,
is the idea where have the play where, oh, well, I quit. X-Men showing up as a team to take care of it, that you're not going to worry about that then. But if you had, say, a Spider-Boy who says, you quit, screw that, I'm going to fight them, then Peter's going to have to do something. And it is that idea Peter has said, this world, somebody is going to step up and you're putting them in danger. If they don't have the reeds, you do. You have the reeds and you won't even fight. And so he's just like, screw it. Randy calls him, hey, dude, like, I got to get a hold of you. You're not this stupid gallery.
Well, that was dumb anyway. But
just imagine the idea that you, as anybody listening, has found out that, lo and behold, Aunt May is going to die in 20 years. And it was she's 900 years old. Yep. She's going to die. But that makes you then say, screw it. I don't need this. You would want every second to count. And this is the idea, too. I get that Nick Lowe is a complete and utter dickhead. And he loves to grind things into people and say Paul's the greatest thing. But when Peter comes back, he doesn't even call Mary Jane. All these other people, I saw them dead, Spider-Boy dead. And he goes to Black Cat because this seems like it'll be Joe Kelly's thing. It'll be Peter and Black Cat, which I don't mind. I like Black Cat, but they were already, and remember, the last time they were kind of together was that stupid, ridiculous couple issues that Joe Kelly wrote when they went to that
snowstorm
chalet
or whatever, yeah.
Remember how bad those were? That was him during
There was like a
Zebulon's
train
run.
involved, yeah.
Yeah, there was those influencers, and they had those guys. It was awful, and that's why I told you, like, and we're in for a real hoot coming up.
No.
I'm getting mad more of the idea. It's not just the writing, and this is Justine Ireland, but it's their whole story. I'm just getting mad to the basic point that they just don't even get Peter Parker's Spider-Man. And everything else will never work in my mind because of that. You can't have him quit multiple issues. You may have him sit there and say, I'm done. I'm going to go back. I'm going to spend time with Aunt May. And then he starts thinking of Uncle Ben. Even the idea that this person's robbing a convenience mart doesn't even trigger in his mind the idea Uncle Ben would be ashamed of me if he saw that I quit on Aunt May. It's just awful. It's awful just at a basic level. And again, people don't love the idea that Nick Lowe, he's never going to give fans the family. But you don't have to keep giving them, woe is me, Spider-Man. You don't have to keep giving him not even down on his luck.
Yeah.
It's just pissed off, upset, do nothing. I mean, he's lazy lay about this guy. So he goes then, and he's in this convenience mart. It's getting robbed. He's like, whatever, bro.
At gunpoint. Like,
yeah.
Crazy.
Like, in this, at least knock this guy. And he's like,
he's got a gun 1 foot away from his head.
Because again, he wants to be shot, and then he's like, hey, do you think this is a good idea, dude? Like you're gonna goes through all this. I'm telling you, you see this in comics and the movies. This is when people die,
death by bank robber,
right? Yeah. Like, and also this guy would maybe do is just cold cock him.
Yeah,
and upset
you
the
pistol
head.
whip him.
Yeah, you don't need somebody just like and. It always seems to like work for some reason, but at this, he just walks away. Actually, Spider-Boy has to come and save the day.
Yeah, that's my number one concern about this. He's introducing Spider-Boy in a lot of these issues, and that makes me think he's going to use him in his run.
Yeah, but the thing is,
I'm worried about that.
He seemingly thinks he's using him in the idea, well, Peter won't do it. And again, what happened here? Peter didn't stop an armed robbery, which then made Spider-Boy, a 10-year-old kid, show up to do it.
In some kind of drug liquor store. Like, what's he doing?
He could have been killed.
Yeah.
Right? But he doesn't care. Then he's like, oh, what are you, 8 or something? You know how old he is. Stop. Like, again, this is this writing of him being just a sad sack. It's just not, obviously, it's not fun.
They should have had people in the background saying, well, why is Spider-Boy talking to that bum?
Yeah, look at this guy. Look at his shirt.
Yeah, it's like, dude. He's got ice cream all over his shirt. His shoes are untied.
And this gets better.
And I don't mean to offend the bums and the listeners.
Really, you shouldn't do that. There's a lot of, unhoused.
Because this guy's pretty bad.
They're sitting there, listening in. He's there. Legitimately kind of looks like me. This is why I was told by Logan. Logan gave his mom a big hug. And I'm like, why don't I get hugs? And he's like, why don't you shower? And I'm like, you son of a bitch. I take 2 showers a day. I just wear hoodies and shorts. And
I just don't do the laundry that often.
No, I'm saying I have a lot of clothes. They tend to, I'm not a guy who has a very varied, deal. But, yeah.
Why is Dad wearing shorts and it's 5 degrees outside?
Oh, yeah. Again, I'm like, I'm not going out today. It's too thick. So, you have Peter walking around. He's eating his ice cream. He's talking to Spider-Boy. And then you have what almost feels like now, with the Sierra, it's a wonderful Sierra life where she's just following with Doctor Strange to say,
just hanging out.
I don't understand. Like almost like they need a narration. And this is where I think that Justine Ireland really showed me this issue, that she's not a great writer because she has to explain everything. And it really comes in when we get back to the Scion deal. When we get back to Calyx in a minute, we'll get to that, because you end up where Peter, woe is me, calls Shay. She's like, you ghosted me for weeks. What's going on? He's like, yeah. Nothing. He just says, is there times when you want to quit being a nurse there at Ravencroft? She's like, yeah, all the time. It sucks. And anybody die? And then even then it's like, well, there was this one lady and she had super strength, but then she also smoked. And then I'm like, please. Like, it's
in the middle of Times Square, this is happening.
Just talking. Says, and then when she died, I felt bad and I wanted to quit, but I don't, because that's what I do. And I try to help anybody, but screw you, Peter. Good luck. Bye. She's done. It's almost like we hardly knew ye. I actually didn't mind her.
I didn't either.
If you're not going to allow Peter to get with Mary Jane, then just let him.
She's pretty cool.
It doesn't have to just be Black Cat.
No.
I don't have problems with that, but why even get her involved? Again, this is like almost like we're seeing the purge of the final things of Zeb Wells. Like, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. But it's and to me, it's very transparent. The idea, we're not getting a story now. We're just getting house cleaning to set things up for when Joe Kelly has his miserable run. And it just doesn't go well.
She's an innocent that's just being taken advantage of. I don't like it.
She's there. Again, he's so upset about everybody else, but we saw her die in a car wreck.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden you get Juggernaut and he's like, oh no, my head hurts. I think there's something going on with Sidorak. We got to get to New York City. Psylocke and Cyclops end up hemming and hawing. Should we go?
I guess we have to listen to him. Yeah, let's go.
Like, come on.
Let's get the jet. Let's spend $80,000 to fly there.
They're like, whatever. Well, can't we just point Juggernaut towards it? And
where's the teleporter?
Yeah, again, they're in Alaska.
Just ride his back all the way there.
It's like, just run to New York City. You end up where then he goes and he loves, really, you have comics sometimes, or even like I even saw a video the other day where they're like, oh, look at all the feet that are shown in Quentin Tarantino movies. Like, he has a foot thing. He's admitted it. Who has the thing about him just attaching to sides of walls? what you have here then is, why is he has his shoes on now?
Well,
he didn't have on before.
I
It's
like
just
that better, though, than the last thing.
it's fine. But they really love just him hanging.
And he's walking around without a mask on, broad daylight.
Just there. He doesn't care.
This and
At
the
one
Ultimate
point,
Spider-Man,
both
like that.
I said it at the one bit, it looked like May. It looked like Mayday Parker that they kind of had a wink. It was just some girl, but it looked like. But he's going to see Felicia. And again, it's like, well, what do you do when everybody's dying, Felicia? Like, it's like, come on. Like, really? And even when the Sierra says to Doctor Strange, he did 8 million things, and he didn't give up, but yet he did. So that's what gets me. The idea they should be amazed that this guy who's just a normal kid, like, this guy doesn't seem special. Why is he able to withstand things that Doctor Strange? And I'll also, again, bring up that they try to make this, that Peter did so much better than Doctor Strange by saying, hey, you did this and that, whatever. And the idea then that Doctor Strange had to have lost then at one point, because she says, you gave up at this point. Well, then he lost and the world would be gone. Doesn't even make sense, but he's there and he's talking to Felicia, and then out of nowhere, they just start making out. And it's like the worst art at that point with that. But look at his crazy goatee and that pencil thin. It looks like I don't even know what.
His mustache is freaking me out.
Yeah, it's weird, right? From the side.
Because he has such a powerful beard in Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah, you think you could grow it in this.
And again, it's supposed to be like, look at him. Like, that's the thing when I look at it. The play is, man, he doesn't care. He's not shaving. He's manscaping that shit for at least 2 hours a day.
That's not how a normal hair grows.
That's not how shit grows in like that, right?
He's got no hair on his neck. It's pencil thin on the mustache. He's doing grooming on it.
Yeah, what he's doing is doing I'm going to take 3 hours to look like I didn't take any time. I need that right out of bed.
He's got gel in his hair, too.
Oh, God. You see, like, I don't know why, but I guess he's sweating, but I think it's gel now. Looks like he thinks he's in sync or so. Look at this guy. Homeless.
Looks like the top of his hair is a little frosted too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Then they start making out. I want her. Remember, she died because I think her luck's about to run out. She's gonna fall. This is hanging there.
Her right butt cheek is just barely hanging onto the ledge.
Now everybody could just walk by and like, what is this guy kissing Black Cat on the side of?
Who's that weird white haired lady he's kissing?
Yeah. So weird. But then that's when Doctor Strange and Zira come and like, I don't get this man.
They're peeping.
He ends up seeing all this loss, but yet he finds comfort in one whose loss will destroy him. This is not Mary Jane, though. It's Black Cat.
So Black Cat is the one that will destroy him. Okay.
Not Aunt May.
That's setting it up. They're going to be lovers.
Yeah, not Spider-Boy, Miles. It's not Mary
Fine
Jane.
with me. Whatever. Do it. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever.
It's just ridiculous, though, that's how they're playing it to force. This is what I'm saying. This is all just forcing into what we're going to get later. I don't think this story has an ounce of water to it. Has nothing. And now we're just getting like, okay, that's set up. Shay's gone. It's very easy. And then lo and behold, out of nowhere, did anybody get connected to our window washer, which I did call that right away. I said, while we were doing it, that he ended up where he must have been a window washer, but never was set up well. But you end up having old Kenneth. He's dead. Dead. And the picture that they have him, is it supposed to be funny that it looks like the picture's like when he was 12? But they're like hanging up this thing and like, poor Kenneth.
That's not what he looks like.
His family, the guy was pretty heavy.
Kenneth J.
family,
Jr.
Yeah, Kenneth J. Jr. Oh, his family can't even afford to bury him. And then just to go with Justine Ireland, where she can't let a scene, like we see Kenneth and you go, oh crap, that's that guy that Spider-Man saved. This guy's just there as bro narrator, goes, dude, like Spider-Man just saved him. And now he died. Like, it has to be announced like that. Like, you are not good. So he's dead. R.I.P. And then there's Spider-Man. No, why'd I even bother? Why'd I bother saving him? This is
no
bullshit.
Point.
So then all this going down and Peter making out, smooching. And then you go back to K-Lex, who then is going out of no, because I don't know even what he's talking about at first, but he says,
hey, he's freaking out.
Yeah, this is the dialogue. He's mad because Daddy didn't say anything. So he's like, no one in the Crimson Court has ever traveled beyond the casket. They wouldn't dare leave my father's pointless protective shell. Also, he's talking to his demon dogs.
Oh, God, they're horrible.
Nobody likes this guy, so he's talking to these dogs. The dogs are probably trying to eat each other to get the hell out of the way. And says, but I dare. because I fear nothing. Okay, so he says that. And the same then he says, the blight. This is what they fear? The threat beyond the cat. Why are you repeating yourself? Like, why would you say this stuff again? And then says, I, Kalix, best son of Sidorak, am here. Show me what I have to fear. I don't even know what he sees. All of a sudden, you just have these worm tentacles come up. And then he says, what? What? I can't move. We must turn back.
Yeah, these 2 pages were horrible.
Yeah, and then says, almost there. And what it is, it looks like a really weird, like, what's it called in Star Wars? It looks like they're going to be in the, they're going to go to the Sarlacc pit, which I do want to point out every time I bring it up. Old C-3PO giving us the info of the Sarlacc pit. He ain't living that long to rot for thousands of years.
Boba Fett lived down there somehow.
Yeah, he didn't live 1,000 years. Ridiculous. So he's like, oh, man. And so he goes and says, hey, I'm going past the casket. Get this, people. I'm going past the casket. That no protection.
What is he talking about?
Oh, no. A Sarlacc pit. I'm falling in. I'm done. Now I'm not. My strength wins. And then says, so that is what he fears? The loss of control, the fading of his power, but I face the blight and survive. That's like 2 panels.
So the blight was those tentacle things?
The blight is this book and says, in fact, I feel stronger than ever before. This is stuff you do through action and dialogue, not just pronounce it.
Yeah, he's like pronouncing everything.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he's like, oh no, the blight. Hey, the blight's
just
done.
Yelling stuff out.
It's like, this again is something that is like, almost like Justine Ireland's like, I really have to do that.
She doesn't use any narration boxes.
No, and so she just has him yell, which is fine. He's, proclaiming things, but he's saying things that we can see. We see he survived. We don't need to have him say, I faced the blight and survived. We see that.
No,
he could just say, see, Daddy, I'm stronger than you, and go. That'd be fine. But he has to, it goes throughout the issue where people are just saying things instead of her letting the art. Some of the times the art's just showing it, and she says it anyway. So then we go, because get this, we have a contest. We have Cradios.
Which we haven't seen for like 3 issues.
No. We have Cradios show up. I thought he was going to yell booyah with that hair, and he looks pretty like Slapboard. But he shows up, and he's like, look at me.
And I think you're supposed to make it seem like that's Aunt May there, too.
Yeah, which it's not. But, because Aunt May ain't running that fast. But again, without Peter there, this lady could have died.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's letting all this happen.
She's hanging out in an alley with her dog.
Yeah, and then,
what a weirdo.
Of course, then this guy says, oh, the champion's a coward, but it's not going to be a good fight. He's like Craven. I need a good fight. I need a fair fight, or else it's not fun.
He talks in the third person, too.
Just win. Just win. And then that's where, we'll fight you. Yeah, so there's the X-Men. There they are.
They're going to get their asses kicked.
Yeah, at this point,
Quentin Quire's there, though.
Like, do you think that it's so crazy that at this point, Peter is now, like, out of nowhere, he'll be like, I decided that I do have, just because he's kissing Black Cat and he wants to keep smooching. I don't know.
He's got something to live for now,
Yeah, but again, you barely set it up. They were just smooching, and ridiculous. But that's it. That's the end. It's Cynthia. This is one of the longest times we've ever talked about it, because it's just every page turn is just not Spider-Man. Everything that happens is just not Spider-Man. Now
could he be like mind controlled or something?
No.
Okay.
I don't think that there's nothing. Doctor Strange would know that, and then it would be part of the deal. So I just think they think that this is the weight of the world on Peter, and that he would react like this, and they're completely wrong. And even if it was what he would, you're not doing it in a way that shows us why. He just sees it and just goes, woe is me. I'm done. Screw it. Everybody I love, let them die. They're going to die anyway. That's not Peter. That's not Spider-Man. It just ends up playing out so stupid. And then, like I said, in this issue, it finally dawned on me. I think it's very, easy to see that it's just now, okay, I don't like this Shay, get rid of her. And the way you do it is make Peter miserable. Make Peter miserable so that people just bail on him. Though, again, when you're dating someone you don't really like them, it is better to kind of piss them off so much so they break up with you so you don't feel guilty. That's what I used to
that's
do.
classic.
But that's classic. But it was probably the best they've been getting along 2-3 issues ago. They were having that picnic, and she was kind of getting the inspiration that he needs. She was already giving him.
She was talking to Aunt May about stuff.
Yeah, remember what's going to happen there? We do nonsense. Now Aunt May's that's another thing Aunt May would be pissed off at.
Yeah, you had that nice girl
Remember,
and you just
he
left her.
already didn't have the money or get the Osborne check. Like, this feast is done. Which, whatever.
Well, they need Mr. Negative to save it. And he's the guy that owns it anyway. So
No, well, that's the thing. You don't realize that now the real Mr. Negative is Peter Parker. He's really the Mr. That'd be funny. Mr. Negative actually comes and like, thank you so much because you actually make me look positive. And he's like, I didn't think that was your thing, like, Miss. And he's like, so we'll go with it.
this thing makes me want Gang War to come back.
Yeah, I would laugh. You could have like a thing of like, you know, a thumbnail, Peter Parker killed by Mr. Negative, and it's just him. It's him being negative, and it's just ridiculous. But
Don't give me any of this junk. Just give me a Spider-Man #1 and whatever the status quo is at the time. I don't care. Just do it.
You had a thing to just waste some time before this new run starts. Just have fun.
Yeah, have fun.
Just do something. I mean, if you're going to go, like, again, cosmic stuff, it doesn't work very well, but screw it. Have him, like, go off with the Fantastic Four somewhere. Like, suddenly he gets sent some other planet.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is maybe Amazing Spider-Man #1 in space. I mean, who knows what the heck it's going to be.
I'm telling you, with Joe Kelly, he's just going to be acting like Deadpool, jumping around, doing stuff that we can't explain.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a Joe Kelly fan, please explain to me how you could read the, what's it called? Nonstop Spider-Man. I think that was any
or that
close to being good, or the
Deadpool
Savage Spider-Man
thing.
when he was the
Deadpool Wolverine too, right?
And Deadpool Wolverine. I saw some guy was saying on some channel or something about Joe Kelly's the Deadpool Wolverine WW3 was the best thing I've read ever.
It's one of the best looking books I've ever seen. The worst written.
It's just ridiculous. what would you give this?
I did like. Well, I'm not going to say. I like the art improvement over the last issue. Whatever that thing we did last week was.
Yeah, that was bad. That art was.
I'd go 4.5.
Yeah, I think I'm just a 4.
Yeah.
Screw it. I'm a 3.
There you go.
It's just not good.
No, I
it's
agree.
Just like, and then the idea of this, like, it's weird. Like, usually, if I would say to somebody at any point of anything, like, oh my God, a cliffhanger in Amazing Spider-Man, it was the X-Men showing up. I'm not talking like now. I'm saying
that's
just
huge
like
back in the day.
People would be like, what?
Oh my God.
That's awesome. I got to see what's going on. Like, you'd be excited. When I saw it, I just groaned. I mean, I thought it was just going to be Juggernaut. I thought Juggernaut was going to be dropped off. Then he was going to do his thing. But having Magic and Quentin and all this deal, Psylocke, Juggernaut, like, really? Like, that's what you have because you got too big. Now you're trying to, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Again, I wonder if by the end, like, even the idea of Peter, because he did take the weight of the world, saw these deaths. And even with that, you have Sarah say he even watched deaths that he didn't know the people and all that. Like, you're waiting for that moment that would normally be, I'm Spider-Man. And all the heroes step up and say, listen, you shouldn't be taking this on yourself. But it's not like that. Now it's like, we better do this because this guy's given up and it's hopeless. And that's not the way to play it. It's not the way to play with Spider-Man. Like, in my mind, Spider-Man, like, so it'd be like Superman, the guy who stands for hope, just giving up. That's never right. It's never good. And so you have one of the most hopeful and great heroes of Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and he's just right back to being sad.
Well, the problem is not the problem, but the thing is, was having such a long history of comics. You had that Spider-Man No More. To me, that you do that one time, it's well done. You don't ever do it again. There's just no need to.
Yeah, it's
been
like
done.
Once Grant Morrison said, "If you write Batman, everybody's got to kill Batman," and then you're like, "Oh, here we go."
You do it one time and then never do it again.
Everybody does it, and
yeah.
So again, the idea of this, and it is the idea of. And they pointed it out, everybody who seems to write Spider-Man always has to be a one more day person. And right away, they don't get it. They just don't get it. They're here to kick everybody in the. Then again, I think that Nick Lowe, somehow he has a job. You can keep saying, oh, Spider-Man sells, that's why. But it's not selling as well as far as you can see. But the idea of every issue, a fan dies. It's like it's this can't be inspiring. That many new fans.
Well, they're going to do a #1. It's going to have 25 variant covers. It's going to be the #1 issue. It'll be the #1 issue for 2 months in a row, and that's
And if Joe Kelly's like tells the greatest story, and all of a sudden that'd be awesome.
I don't see it happening.
We haven't had many issues of Spider-Man to talk about that we liked, and it's a big book, and I don't care even if it didn't sell shit. It's still a big book. And should be, and they should treat it like that, and they don't. And then you get this, again, I'll point out, we have these letters in the back, and yet they have not had, the deal of where to write in a long, long time. So I don't know if people just know it by heart or whatever, but there is not anything mentioned about, hey, do this, and mention, you can print it or whatever. So
it's fake.
Yeah, I think it's all fake.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
they've done
fake.
that in the past. He's blatantly doing it now.
Yeah. Wyatt Atkins from Kentucky. He's just from Kentucky.
It might be people that he met at a comic book convention or something.
And again, this might be that there are things, and I really, to crack the code, I want to write one and see if they even respond, or even if I send it and it gets sent back, that the email isn't even what it is anymore. Because I've tried. I've sent in a bunch for Amazing Spider-Man.
I thought the email address was the same for everything, but maybe not.
No, it's like, ASM something.
Is Nick Lowe going to be the editor still?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why people said it doesn't matter who writes it. It's him. They need a clean sweep. But we'll move on to the next book. Now, this is what happens. Then, I don't want to take out my anger of Ultimate Spider-Man, or actually Amazing Spider-Man on Ultimate Spider-Man, but thank God Ultimate Spider-Man will get me angry on its own right. It. And people still, it's their favorite book. And I will say, I had it on my book of the year.
You did?
One of my books of the year, and I'll tell you why. It's because you need to pick something, and Marvel is at a really bad place. It's a really, really tough time finding a lot of books to like at Marvel. So when we go, we don't want to just talk about one book a week. Sometimes if we really went with them, people suggest, like, you guys shouldn't talk about those anymore. Like, what are we going to talk about then?
Yeah, it's tough.
You got to talk about it. And if something's bad, we don't read an issue unless it's something like on a side deal. But a big thing like these, you don't read it and then say, oh, well, we won't do it, or we will do it. Sometimes if we don't have time or whatever, we'll say, skip it, whatever. But these are big books.
No, we decide before we read them, and then
we go. Yeah. And like I said, usually we'll have 1, 2, 3, kind of know the thing. And if I get weighed up with something, because it always happens, I'll say, skip the last one, we'll do the 2. But it's not because it's because I didn't read it. But here we go. Ultimate Spider-Man, number 13. Should be a huge issue. And there's things that happen. It just is it. But Jonathan Hickman writing, Marco Cicchetto on all you Marco Cicchetto fans, get ready.
I don't like it.
Matt's going to be upset. Color. The idea that people are going to go and look, and I'm telling you, I don't think that you're saying, and you may just say it, but the idea of the artist on The Amazing Spider-Man, you liked it compared to the last issue of that. It's not like it's like the greatest thing ever, but you go each book, but you don't like the Cicchetto.
I saw Black Cat. I'm like, is that Elektra? Like, it's the same exact person.
That's the crazy design that they decided to go with.
The hair's flying around. I don't know what's going on.
We said it when she first showed up.
Yeah.
Color by Matthew Wilson, letters by VC's Corey Petit. So the whole play of the issue, last issue, stupid Christmas party. I have a theory that I came up with before we started about why we had some of that party, and I think it might come to play because after this issue, nobody can make fun of me anymore. Somebody's going to die. And when I ended up when Peter first told Mary Jane, hey, I'm Spider-Man, they went zipping around. And they were zipping around in an issue where they'd already had Fisk say, I have people watching, I have all this, I'm going to find out who this is, whatnot. In the meantime, everybody's figuring it out anyway. Like you have where Uncle Ben, last issue, I know you're Spider-Man, be careful, whatever, or 2 issues ago. Craven in this just says, I figured it out, I know who they are. And so it seems a little too easy. And is it he's playing with the idea that in real life it would be easy, but again, this isn't real life.
It would be very easy in real life.
Yeah, all this going on. So the last issue, it was the AI, I like to call it like the symbiote, or it looks Venom. It's the black suit deal. But it was that AI that Peter wanted Doc Ock to put in his suit instead of having somebody like an Uncle Ben or something. It was his own AI that he put in that only to me was a forced setup to get what we're getting now. Peter obviously wouldn't have known to do that, but why would you pick your own self to be the AI? But now it was because he was able to take his place. Now, what happens and what I don't understand then is what's going on. Peter ends up setting up rules. There's 3 rules he says in this, and it's only there because people are already saying what gives here. It's don't touch Mary Jane, keep the family safe, and don't touch Mary Jane. Those are the 3 rules.
Mm-hmm.
When was the rule of let them know that Peter's been missing? because in this, it's like now it's just out and about.
Yeah.
It ended up seeming very nefarious.
He was covering it up for a while, but now he's not.
Yeah, and all of a sudden now he's going the reverse and going. So at the end of the last issue, I said on our show, I said, I don't think that it's going to be a bad thing, because if it's bad, they are all dead.
No, he would just kill everybody.
I mean, they're all dead. And I said, why would they do? So I said, I think that he's protecting them. But of course, Hickman, because there's no real overall tension of any of this that's happening, because we're just meandering around. The tension is, when will Uncle Ben and J. Jonah finally get that crazy hot scoop? There's not much going. So you end up faking that. That was a total fake out. It doesn't even really make sense of how it went to here to be good. Then we don't even see any interaction. And then when we see him here, he's zipping around. He has Richard in him. It's the symbiote suit enveloping around Richard to swing around to train him.
But there's no point, because there's no point in training him, because he does
it himself.
Yeah.
So
you don't need Richard for anything.
And this is the other thing here. People can say whatever. He's not training him to do it, because if he's going to fight, either you're going to give another piece of the symbiote, and it's still the symbiote, and that could do its own. He even says, I can take over. Or is he's not training him to fight his own battles, because he's in the suit. He can't do the stuff he's doing in there. All it is a wow factor to say, oh my God, Richard's in there and he could be Venom, or he's this or he's that. I'm telling you, this could be the setup. It's not my big play, but this could be the setup then when Peter ends up escaping or whatnot. And then the symbiote deal, the AI symbiote, I don't even know we could just call it the Black Spider-Man, whatever. It comes to fight, and say Kraven runs a sword through him, and then Peter's like, well, thank God you're just an AI symbiote, and then dead Richard spills out.
I couldn't protect him.
Yeah, and I couldn't protect him.
You.
And then all of a sudden Peter gets whacked out, and then he ends up treating symbiote deal like crap, and then I don't know. That could be one of them. But there's really, in my mind, no reason. This is going far away from protect the family. Now, he's in the black suit. And if this was a series, because please tell me, if somebody ended up out there counting the page count of how many times Peter Parker's in the Spider-Man outfit in public doing anything, because I can only think of that bank robbery deal, and then the one with Shocker at the beginning. He doesn't go, or if he's swinging around with Mary Jane. I'm talking about seen by people that people would now be worried that Spider-Man isn't around because he's been saving everybody and doing it. We haven't seen it. So in that, though, you still have the black suit anyway. If this was the idea, somebody has to put up appearances that Spider-Man's out and about, because, oh my God, the villains, they're going to, but the problem is the only villains we know have Spider-Man and know it. So it's just.
Yeah, there's been no other introduction of villains.
No, why?
Yeah.
Why? And so you end up where they're
he's keeping
just
up
talking.
Appearances for nobody.
For nobody in the black suit.
Yeah.
And then putting Richard in grave danger by the end. So he's there.
This kid's RIP on this kid.
Yeah, and then and again, we talked about it. If you like Richard, fine, but he's a dud.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. May is just not, because it's May. His biggest thing in this comic is to talk to. He's the only one who talks
pushing
about that
the
stupid
book. Yeah.
J. Jonah's book.
He's gonna be selling it to his school friends soon.
Yeah. Remember, J. Jonah's like, hey, tell your friends. I have a whole warehouse of them. I'm telling you, Richard will die, and that'll be the big thing. At the funeral, J. Jonah's like, no, there's nobody reading my book. This is bullcrap. But yeah, so this is a weird play. But in surface level, it feels like something cool. It feels like something you'd be like, all right. But when you think about it, and even think about what this, pretty much the prime directive for this symbiote deal, it goes against it. So I'm saying he's banging Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Also, he ends up with, Richard said, and even Rich, this doesn't mean you're, why haven't say in that? It's so weird, but it's because Hickman knows that people are going to think it, and then keep going with it. Then if you're just going to do it. He's like, well, I don't know if considering hand jobs, whatever. It's so ridiculous. So he says that, and then they just get back to it. Now, Peter, they say, has been gone for 2 months. 2 months.
Nobody's looking for him.
And in that, you have Richard is like, hey, it's weird when you have my dad's face. Like, don't do that. It's like, shouldn't you be more concerned?
Shouldn't that AI just be looking for him 24 hours a day?
He says, I kind of sense it's like his spider sense. I kind of sense he's alive. I'd be like, I'm sensing that you should go and do something. And then Richard says, can you track him with that? No, I wanted to put like a tracker. I wanted to put some of my blood into his bloodstream so I could track him. But you know, your dad, he wouldn't let me do it. Now, why wouldn't he let him do it? And if you say to me, well, he wouldn't trust it to do it. He's trusting it to watch his family. That's the most important thing that he's ever had. So don't give it to me that he wouldn't trust it. And maybe he's an anti-vaxxer. I don't know. He ends up where he's like, I don't need this.
I don't like needles.
But I don't know. I kind of would go with it. You might even get like supercharged power or something. But if you trust this thing enough to not touch your wife and to make them protected, then you trust them with everything. So it's only there to, and again, what this thing with Richard is just such a very easily seen surface level bullshit of I'm going to answer questions that people would ask me at a con and I need to have answers. Why didn't the symbiote trace them then? Oh, well, he wanted to.
Yeah, all in these 2 pages.
He was banging them, right? He was banging Mary Jane. No, he said this. That's all it is. It's not story. It's there to set up the idea so he doesn't get yelled at. And Hickman's better than this. This is where I get upset about this. This is not smart anymore.
Yeah, he has to cover his butt because remember the Spider-Man reign with the radioactive sperm and all that stuff.
With the sperm. You're going to hear about this for decades. And then you get some weird
exactly decades.
So then you get where what I'm thinking 2 months. He's dead. I mean, Peter and Harry are dead. Of course they're not, but they go back and it's Craven has them still. He's been just beating the crap out of them and drugging them and doing that. In the meantime, why? What is he doing? They don't need information from him.
Fisk isn't asking questions.
He's just having. I think he's like when the big scene Han in Empire Strikes Back. He gets thrown back in the cell. And he's like, they didn't ask me a question. They were just priming things for Luke. Like they didn't even ask anything. They just torture him. That's all he's doing. He's just torturing them. It seems Craven's figured it all out. And it doesn't seem like he figured it out from them. Now, when you see them, then you get it. But he figured out to go get them because of that. He had Harry first, which was what Ben said. They figured out Harry first, and then from there you can work it. But then you just have this weird play because Kingpin's not in this. This big thing was the contest, that whole thing, go get him. You would think, but Craven, I want to have my hunt. Like, really? Like, how forced is this to just give us the same thing?
Kingpin said, it's not about you, dude. You're not doing your thing. This all you work for me. You're
and
not
now
doing
he's doing
hunts.
his thing. And so when you have
so
this,
stupid.
So Mole Man comes down because that's where he wants to do his hunt in the subterranean Savage Land because you can't leave New York because then Kingpin might find out. So they just make the Savage Lands underneath as Mole Man territory. And he's like, dude, I don't want to get my Mole Man involved because they're going to get, like he's saying, Kingpin's going to kill you. He's going to
just Godzilla, King Kong, Under Earth, whatever that
so
thing
it's
is.
just there again, just wow factor.
So
that's all it is. It's not a story. It's let's go do this so we can have dinosaurs and King Kong.
Yeah, remember that Tom Taylor Spider-Man thing that had like the under New York City?
York. Where you take the elevator and it goes upside down and never did anything. And like, I'm the princess of the Under York. That drove me nuts. Again, people sit there and... but Spider Bite. This is the
Spider Bite, yeah.
Yeah, and even that was just a redo of the kid who collects Spider-Man. So the idea of this, though, they're in the Savage Lands of the Under York.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there's dinosaurs underneath you.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Like, it's Hollow Earth under New York City because they just want to
I think Sauron or whatever is just hanging out by that T-Rex head.
Yeah, I think he is. They're just there. Now, the funny play is, we can kind of go with it because we do keep yelling that they're at least that's different. It's weird. It doesn't feel right,
but it's still called the Savage Land.
Yeah, that's the weird play. And so they're down there, and again, like the big play is, well, can I bet you for things? And I bet you this. I'm like,
and why would that be different then? Why the geography is different on this planet?
Yeah.
Why,
and that actually work? Shouldn't be different because it's the same Earth.
Yes.
Yeah, they just ruin it. It
just doesn't make any sense.
I don't get it.
They changed the wrong stuff.
Gray's listening now. He was saying I was nitpicking. I don't even think these are nitpicks. This is something where we have a universe we've been in a year, and we're not getting anything. The idea of what we have set up. Oh, it's Peter Parker with a family. We barely get it. Now they're in danger. And now we even say, and people have brought it up. Mary Jane now, because it's now a month since the party. December 25th or whenever they had the Christmas party. So he's been gone 2 months, they say. So for a month, Mary Jane didn't even realize that wasn't her husband. She didn't know. So what was she like? Remember, and that was the play too. Remember, like, and that actually was still Peter because of how he went. But the idea of what did she think was going on with Peter for a month? Like he seems horned up all the time. He couldn't have been doing anything like that.
He
It's
is.
just, what's happening? Like they're such a great couple, and hey, we're getting what we want, and nobody could even tell. Yeah, it's the same thing, but there should be differences that you would be able to tell between it. But
And why is he not saying, "Hey, Peter's lost. We got to find
that's
him"?
what I'm saying. And get back to that. That's what I was saying at the beginning. The idea we're right away saying, listen, he's been gone 2 weeks. We got to get out of here. Peter would have set up maybe a safe house, something, or just, hey, you guys have to go to your sister. Maybe that could have been the reason why you brought up the sister and the family. I have another reason when we get to it, but the idea of that. But yeah, just, I'm going to protect you, but you stay in the same house. And by the way, I'm protecting May and Mary Jane by zinging around with Richard and leave them by themselves. And really, the symbiote has to know the thing it's going to go for first is Mary Jane. Not the kid. You know what I mean? And you're just zipping around. And they're even stopping crime together. And I just think this is the setup. If Richard doesn't die, it's going to be like, why can't I have the better you? The one that lets me zip around.
The fun one.
You're not my dad. He is.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad.
Have fun dealing with that, Peter.
Yeah, no, I thought you meant people listening. Leave my bell. So then, out of nowhere, because you have to get people involved, moments like, I really don't want you to do this, but okay, well, whatever. Craven's like, and Craven's just like the same deal. I need to hunt. A predator hunts, and I need a hunt. I need a hunt. It has to be a fair hunt. I hunt.
Stupid face tattoo.
Thank God somebody's there not named Mike, or we would have a real problem with some talking about it. So you end up where they're like, the Mysterio just shows up.
He's like, I do what I want.
And that's the way. I do what I do what I want.
Yeah.
Catch me outside. The idea where he shows up could there be, like, I don't think there is. If this was a different deal, I would say maybe it isn't him, because the way he shows up is real odd. Like the idea of, hey, how did you know about this? Oh, I showed up. And again, I think it might be Doc Ock. Maybe it is.
Yeah, we haven't seen that guy in a while.
It's weird how he shows up but they let it go. Like he says, oh, I do what I want. Do your actions please him or anger him? I do what I want, whatever. So maybe that'll be the deal that we'll actually see that it's like a Doc Ock, because he does tack. He might have had something. We'll see. But
he's got
in the meantime, he's there and he's like, hey, well, what's going on? What? You don't know what's going on? I'm going to hunt. And you end up where, and again, the idea of Mysterio says, what I want is to see them. That's kind of like, it's kind of weird. Mysterio is a little off here, just showing up saying, don't worry how I found out, and I'm going to be there. And so with that, while the symbiote suit was not allowed to put the crazy shit in Peter's blood, I kind of think Ock might have some trackers on at least Harry or something like that. It seems like something he would do. So I think you're on to something. I'm kind of maybe making the call here that that's one of the things.
He's infiltrating somehow.
Yeah, and he's there because, again, they're gone 2 months. What does he think's going on? So, or maybe it's Gwen, like some crazy shit.
It's somebody.
I think it's somebody. It doesn't feel like Mysterio. But again, some of these don't. So then we go and we see this freaking feast.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. This is a prime example of why I don't like the art. What is going on here?
Yeah, like look at the glasses. The wine glasses are like barely drawn. I know they're.
Don't even draw the food then if you can't do it.
Yeah, the food looks. This is no
those
food
chicken
wars.
wings.
Is that
sweet and sour chicken
deal at one point there? And I'm like, look at that. That looks like those Rocky Mountain oysters. I think they're eating balls. And so in this right away, he's like,
disgusting.
Let's eat to the feast. I'm like, is this stuff from the Savage Lands? Because I'm not eating it. Like, tell me that this is like chicken wing.
Yeah.
Tell me that's sweet and sour. I don't need sweet and sour.
The Mole Man's eating it. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I don't need stuff that Mole Man's eating. Like, he's digging in. He's loving it.
Everything's red.
And it does now.
Like hot sauce on it.
Not to offend anybody, but it does look like a lot of stuff you find at the Chinese buffet. And you're like, this doesn't look like any chicken, but it tastes good. I eat it all. I love those. But yeah, at that one point, I think those might be balls. He's like, I heard you didn't have balls. But yeah.
Big bowl like guacamole or something? I don't know what's going on here.
Looks bad. Then at one point, like
no water, just champagne.
I think that there's wine and the glass is floating, or that's jumping because, the knife, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, they're talking about it, and you see them beat up, and even the idea of
And Peter
I
doesn't
wanted
say
them-
anything. He's just sitting there like an idiot.
and it's like I wanted them to fight each other.
Oh.
We wouldn't do that.
And
It's
brain
like, yeah,
bombs. They do.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
you couldn't
he's-
come up with something different.
Yeah. So he says, "Hey, I was gonna have him fight to the death, but again, pushing the buttons of Harry." I love the idea too, where it would be so funny, where because Craven says, "Listen, I was gonna have them, but once I learned that one of you was a physical dynamo
Yeah.
and the other was just a weak man in a suit, I didn't think that was fair. I wanted Harry to go, sorry about that, dude. You know, you're good to me." It's like he's saying I'm the dynamo asshole. Like the idea that Harry thinks
Or
it's
give
him.
him his suit
But
then.
Harry just keeps getting kicked in the balls with the things in this, so it's just setting him to be pissed off. But yeah, really, just have him fight with the
Yeah.
suit against
And
Nott or
Spider-Man
whatever.
should have his suit too.
And
Both
the
of them.
thing is, he's not fooling anybody. He's trying to say that he was going to have all these. You know, he's just going to have a hunt because that's all he does. So it's like, I'm going to have a hunt, and this is Peter, this guy, he's this, and Mary Jane and his children. And if they don't fight, if they say no, then show us what you got. You're done. I'm going to kill your family. But if you win, I won't kill your family. I'm thinking to myself, dude, you're going to kill my family anyway. Plus, there's Mole Man and supposedly Mysterio here. There's no way my family lives. That I'm now just going to try to, and that's what Peter's doing. He's got to escape now.
Mhm.
And he says, I got to get out of there. Harry's all confused, but in that, they're like, we'll do it. And then he just presses a button. The idea that this is going, me and you get in a chair.
Mhm.
They open up a thing. This is nitpick, but the idea, don't make it so ridiculous that you're going to fall out of this thing and somehow parachute's going to go and it's perfectly set that you end up going. That parachute's coming up below me and I'm dying. And so you're dead and whatever.
You're
Then
dead
they
in
get
the
stuck
tree.
in a tree and
Yeah.
unhooks. Then the brain bomb deal goes off. And now we got Hunt, but we have dinosaurs and they're running. And oh my God, what's going on? Don't move, Harry. There's
Listen,
lots
it's-
of raptors right near you.
It's
Like
like
look
if you
like in the middle of eating.
if you told me this was arcade, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But this is like Craven. How's he doing any of this? This is ridiculous.
Yeah. And Peter's so strong you can, stop.
And all of a sudden now
velocity.
Peter like kicks it into high gear. He's back to action mode.
Yeah,
it's
he
like-
couldn't break those bindings, and now
Yeah.
he's fighting dinosaurs, and then it looks like
we
they
fell into the
freeze.
center, so now we got to run to the edge so we can
Yeah,
make
we
it out
gotta run the
alive.
edge. Why are we running out? Because we're escaping. We got to
And-
save our family.
And I'm not the worst thing to worry about. There's dinosaurs too.
Yeah.
So we get 3 pages of that.
Seriously. So then we get, symbiote deal going around.
The poor innocent
Again,
dinosaurs are getting blamed for this now.
Yeah. These dinosaurs, they're just being dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Like they're not.
They're
doing
completely
anything wrong.
innocent in this.
Yeah. So ridiculous. Yeah. Now I'm like looking too, and you see in the background when you have the symbiote going around, there's a big billboard, like an advertisement with Spider-Man. I'm telling you, we have not seen enough of any Spider-Man doing.
People don't even.
things
You ask average Joe, they have no idea who he is.
This is hardly a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. It's been the friendly Peter who takes second fiddle to Ben, J. Jonah. It's just, you can't play that game. But you have zipping around black suit symbiote deal with Richard inside of him in a non-sexy way.
Yeah.
And you end up where the zip line.
And we've
the
seen
line
that.
there,
And how many issues have we talked about? We've seen this now, like 5, like just cutting the lines and Batman
they're
and all
cutting
sorts of
lines.
stuff.
All of them do that. And
Yeah.
also, like you said, at one point, whether or not this is Peter, it looks exactly like Peter, and it's dissipating the suit. It's just right there. You see if they didn't know or somebody didn't know it was Peter Parker or Spider. Like if they have any sort of way to record, they see that and see Richard going
Mhm.
around. And so the webbing gets cut. They fall, but of course Franklin's okay because he's in the
Also,
suit.
he's smaller too. He's like a foot shorter than
I think
Peter.
he's just like kind of hanging in. That's like May would be in there. It'd be like a big mecha. Then you end up Black Cat who comes down. That's a big play here. Again, we say that we want differences, but the idea of instead of it looking like, Black Cat will make her look like Elektra. That's the
That's exactly
difference.
what it is. She doesn't have the
in,
white hair.
she's
She's
like,
doesn't have the fur on her. Anything.
and unfortunately, Harry kind of threw her dad and crippled him and threw him off that building. So she's pissed and says, I believe you knew my father, the Black Cat. Well, I'm the new one. Doesn't say like, I've never seen this black suit look. I know she's new, but she obviously knows this is Spider-Man and should have seen him like, hey, what's going on? Because it's funny because he's kind of in a suit that would resemble hers.
Yeah.
Because she's Black Cat and like, hey, what are you trying to get my branding or something? Nothing. She just says,
Well,
hey, I believe you knew my father, Black Cat. Well, I'm the new one. And now we're going to have a fight. And again, you did have that little mention by the suit. Hey, you did good. And you have Richard's like, oh, I was nervous. Like, I don't think we should be doing this. No, don't worry. That wasn't a big criminal. We got that. Now you're going to fight Black Cat.
Yeah.
And it could be as easy as him dying here. I don't think that this is the way. I do think that he's going to get messed up. I think that there's going to be a point where he ends up getting some big, like, damage, scratch, whatever it would be. And how are they going to explain that to Mary Jane when they go back and say, what were you guys doing?
What was your other theory about Mary Jane, though?
And this is the thing, and that whole deal of the Christmas party. Gabe got a lot of crap for saying, why do we need to know about Mary Jane's family? And people said, oh, it's world building. I'm like, really? Like, that's the world building? You don't show us hardly any Spider-Man, but when you're going to give world building, you're going to show Mary Jane's sister, who is going through a divorce, so probably will be hanging out a little, not having somewhere to go, and the mother and things like that. I do think that at one point we will think that Mary Jane got killed. All this will lead to, I believe, Peter coming in, like he escapes. He goes back to the apartment and sees a crumpled up, head down, face plant on the deal, red hair. Oh my God, Mary Jane's dead. And then it'll be revealed that they mistakenly killed her sister, thinking it was Mary Jane. I don't know why else we would have that setup of weird stuff going on.
You could take that one to the bank.
And in this, there's like things are starting to get really over the top force. Now, that's the thing. The reason why if I come up with these theories, when you have, like I said, I mean, just if people think I'm an idiot, fine. But I did say right away, last issue, that this symbiote suit is not bad. They'll show that it's not bad. It'll be a dupe. When you see that stuff that's so in your face, then you realize that it's nothing, because Hickman's too smart for that. But what he's smart to do is have a person show up in this Christmas issue that really didn't matter much. You just had a bunch of fighting at the
they're just at a party, no big deal.
Yeah, and so people, we ended up not liking it.
It's real life stuff.
Show this, but that gets forgotten very easily because it really was the big thing, and then have the end be such a huge cliffhanger. Oh my God, the symbiote's bad, and he
break
did this.
The internet for a month.
Boom, you end up. That's what they remember.
Yeah.
Then the idea of having it.
Yo, Hickman killed Mary Jane.
4 months from now, we have that cliffhanger, and you see that I don't think a lot of people would remember. Oh, wait a minute, it could be the sister that we haven't seen, and it's this, and I think that's what happened.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
somebody has to die. You can't have them know all this stuff and have a hunt and have all this going on, and I don't see any route of coming out of this without somebody dying. And what he'll do is, I said at one point that I was afraid Mary Jane would die, and people lost their mind and started yelling at me because, again, it's one of the main things people want from this book. But if he shows that you think she died on a cliffhanger, there's going to be some people tuning in the next issue, and then the show, oh, it wasn't her, it was the sister. People say how smart that is. The sister came by because she needed to pick something up. The sister ended up getting in a fight with her, soon-to-be ex-husband, whatever, and ran and couldn't find Mary Jane, because at that point, I guarantee you that the symbiotes decided to get them the hell out of the apartment so it's empty. I'll tell you, that if it happens, then screw everybody.
It's happening. I can tell you right now.
And I do think Mysterio is probably Doc Ock.
There's got to be somebody on the inside.
Because not having Doc Ock with 2 months of having that, you haven't seen Gwen. She was just on the phone on the deal, but you haven't seen Doc Ock in a while. So, again, I don't know. What would you give this?
4.5.
Yeah, I think I'm a 4.5 as well. It's not interesting. And the things that I thought I wanted, I'm not getting them. But in the meantime, I'm just getting a meandering story that really doesn't do much.
I mean, it's the opposite of cheerful, which people want. It's depressing. This is a depressing comic to me.
Don't tell me now, if you're going to do page counts, that this is Peter Parker's Spider-Man out and about either, because he is being tortured and he's in a hunt. This is just a symbiote deal. Doesn't make up for no Spider-Man. We've gotten no Spider-Man, which is an odd play over a year of issues.
Yeah.
And we barely got to see. Yeah, you should have, and people even suggest this, I think. They're right. You should have a bunch of cold opens. You should have 2 pages in every other issue where Peter was out doing things. He's there stopping. And have him get better. Have him get, like, the first time he's doing a carjacking and does that. Then the next one it's this, and the next one that. You never had that. You never had it. Yeah, so you've barely seen him in the suit.
Because the original intent of the Sinister Six is you fought you fought Dr. Octopus in a few issues. Then you fought the Rhino, whoever.
Don't even have that.
And then 5 years down the line, you fight the Sinister Six. And it means more.
Yeah, it means nothing here, and they're scattered in this way of.
Yeah, it's like
you can't even.
Why
sit
are we
there
going
and
right to the Sinister Six already?
Yeah, Remember, he did fight. What did they fight? What's his name?
Shocker?
He came. No, the one guy in the Senate. I can't remember now. This is how bad. And he came back and he was like, "Oh, Mr. Negative." He's like, "Man, that guy." And he didn't really even fight him. He fought a bunch of crowd in the bank. But that was still. I was thinking there was not. That was just the bank. Remember, he came back. He's like, "So, what do you think? He's a punk, right?" "No, man, he's great. I think that guy's awesome. He seems cool." Seemed to trigger Craven to be like, "What? You mean I can hunt him? Where's Mike?" But yeah, I'm a 4.5 as well. It's just not great. But we'll go to the last issue of this deal. Also, just the idea when they're in the Savage Lands and I end up seeing like dinosaurs, and I'm like, that's kind of a Wolverine thing. When we get these side Wolverine books, you always have that. But you get Wolverine Revenge next, and it's Wolverine Revenge, and it is issue number 4 of 5. We talked about this. This was one of your book of the years.
Yeah.
And we talked about that, the idea that it's still going, and we're like, it hasn't come out in a while. So you end up jumping in. I give the credits here. It is Wolverine Revenge number 4. Now I can't even find the credits. I went by them. I'm so upset at these books. Jonathan Hickman writing, pencils by Greg Capullo, inks by Tim Townsend, colors by Alex Sinclair with FCO Placencia on page 1.
Yeah, because they got rid of him.
yeah. I mean, he got rid because he was delaying things and didn't care. And you get Greg Capullo as yelling shit. DC's Corey Petit. I love that they didn't have, like, they're like, we're getting rid of them, but I really don't want to redo that first page.
Let's see that. The page 1 versus the others.
I guess you've already paid.
They look the same.
Actually, I think that first page looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's a good lighting. Good use of lighting.
It's a really cool deal. But you jump into this, and it's been a while. Again, one of the delays, seemingly from FCO Placencia, because he couldn't get the inking done. And I guess you would get pissed if you're the artist.
Colors.
And you're like, dude, I got done. And you can't get the inks done. Like, seriously? But it's been a bit. So when you jump in, I'm like, okay, I remember Deadpool. They're hanging, kicking in the whole nuclear reactor. We ended up fighting, what's it called? Not Cyclops, Colossus. Ends up burying him. But now it's like, I'm going to get you, but now we go 20 years later. And it really threw me off a bit. And it's, Old West.
Well, you're
style.
entering Old Man Logan territory, which throws it off a little bit too.
Yeah, again, it's its own deal. And again, in this, when this happens and whatever, is Gabe still going to complain that he doesn't know if it's in continuity or not? Because I think it's like it's done.
It's pretty clear that it's not. I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought it was clear
from the
right
beginning.
Away.
Yeah, I don't know what he was smoking. I guess, but
he's sus. That's what he is. That's what it is. He's so
obsessed with it.
Yeah. I don't know why. But you end up where Logan, 20 years later, he goes into this bar, and he's been on. It looks like he's, hey, did you go and get those guys and things like that happens. But even in this bar, I like, is this like Dreamland? I thought at one point he's like in heaven. Like you got Cap there, you got Bucky, you got a bunch of
Giant
weird
Man.
things. Yeah, you got a lot of weird things going on. But he comes in, they're like, hey, Logan, whoa, yeah, here you are, hey. And then when they start giving him free drinks and stuff, I thought he was going to wake up. I thought he actually at some point, maybe he was captured, and this is like they're putting him through a simulation, but it doesn't seem
Don't you love when they have future stories, but they're just in the past now? It's like all of a sudden, 20 years in the future, we're in the Wild West again.
Yeah, no, it's like 20 years in the future. I'm like, hey there, boy. Like it's 1920
and
we're just dancing around with Al Capone.
I don't want to live in the Wild West.
Hey,
so
there's the babe.
It.
There's a babe hit one today. What happened to the future?
There's an Ultron hanging out in then one of the pages.
Yeah, it's just hanging out. But yeah, again, I get the wasteland. They kind of come in it's just what it has. It's just weird. But yeah, there's some weird stuff going on. He comes in. Again, I think a lot of this whole series is Hickman when they first started. Hey, buddy, what do you want to draw? Cabula's like, kind of like Cap and Bucky.
Cowboy style.
Draw them in the Old West. Yeah, that'd be funny. That's all Capula.
But aren't they dead?
Yeah. This is what's weird.
Didn't they blow up?
Yeah, they blew up. And then it's maybe these are two other
cosplayers?
Dudes. Yeah, maybe. The one,
he's
Bucky
got the arm.
Bucky's got that handlebar mustache, though. Like
that Cap looks like he's just a regular guy that puts on that outfit at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is weird. Like you said. But
again, they did blow up, right?
Yeah. Okay. They blew them up. That's why they didn't. They should have realized
that was
Wolverine
the whole reason for the revenge.
But yeah, that's the revenge. But I guess he got it. I don't know. These guys, then is weird. I didn't even see that at first. And then you have Ultron, and he's dressed up in a duster and a hat. Like, who are you fooling? Yeah. Like, at least when Ben goes around, he gets that trench coat. He kind of covers this stuff. But yeah, they're like, like I said, they're like, hey, buddy, it's on the house. I'm like, yeah, something's weird here. And seeing them, I do think that this might not be real, but it.
I mean, 20 years from now seems believable now. So 20 years from yesterday.
There they are. Yeah, they're like, hey, and he goes up. There's some kids that come out that we don't know. A lot of this feels
who are
like
these kids?
A lot of this feels like it's like they have an idea of what it is, but there's just not time or whatever to have. And he's like, hey, here's some sheriff's badges now. Go on, get me some varmints. And then he goes to Forge, and they're like, hey, did you get them? Did you get the? And these kids are weird too.
Oh, they're children of the corn types.
Yeah, their talk is like a little odd. It's like because he comes up and sniffs them.
Maybe they're robots in the future.
Yeah, and goes, ha, no one can do that. We knew you were supposed to be back today. Couldn't sleep. Did you find the bad guys? He's like, yeah, I did. And the one guy's, did you bring proof? You know, for the bounty that the blind priest offered. I'm like, they're just playing tropes up here. It's kind of funny, but it's weird. Again, like a simulation. And it also looks like this town suddenly becomes Vegas. But he goes to Forge, says, hey, Forge, what's up? Hey, I got you this. Let's get drunk. This is cool shit. Let's go. And again, Forge made him a couple things. One of the things being a ray that took the healing factor out of Sabretooth that was able to kind of get rid of him. And he's like, hey, you're going to head out again. You got to do your deal. And you see him. And really, in my mind, this really looks like that Batman story that Greg Capullo did with Scott Snyder, where Joker's head was in the lantern thing. The same kind of play. But he goes, and poor Sabretooth, look at this guy. Now, again, I say that it's 20 years later. The guy doesn't look like he aged a day. He doesn't have the healing factor, so he's in his snazzy
He's a little
jazz
cold. He's got a blanket.
Yeah, he's in the snazzy jazz. He's got
Isn't
a blanket.
That a Professor X's chair?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. So, I mean, what is he doing? Like, legitimately, all day? Does he not move? Does he just sit there? Like, I'd be pissed off,
That thing floats around. I don't know.
Yeah. What is he doing? Like, he's in that, though, and he's like, I'm going to go. Like, he goes up to get a beer out of the fridge. He can't get it because everything's in the way.
Does he have legs anymore?
I don't know. He's just there with that blanket. And then Wolverine's there, and Wolverine has the beer, and like, hey, look at you. Like, he comes back, and before the what's supposed to be the fun part of it, before it used to be like, hey, every birthday I come to beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
And now you're coming to get me with this, thing. And by the way, my healing factor's gone. And Wolverine even says, well, I kind of get that now. It's either on or off. It doesn't come back. He's afraid that it'll come back, and he does not want to have it happen. Even though if it's going to come back, why did you set the terms of every year you do this? Like, so he goes and hits him with the ray again.
You see that there's bone. There's a bone pile with I guess his limbs and that. I don't know what's going on
either there. That or he's like, that's a stew. One looks like a child. That'd be funny. He's like, my legs are over there in somebody's hand. But that is behind a chair, like he's
He's keeping his bones.
Yeah, he's there and just like eating things and whatnot. But and he's like, I'm gonna kill you. No, you're not. I'm gonna bury you. All that stuff going on. He does zap him and then says, I'll smell you later. I'll be back. And eventually, like almost like he's screwing with him. One of these times I'll kill you.
You know it's gonna get him. I mean, it's every time that anybody ever says that, you can't do anything about it, they always do something.
Yeah. So he's like yelling at him, and I'll get you someday, whatnot. And then when he leaves, you get the Omega Clan. And then it becomes pretty much Sabretooth must have tracked down all kids of these, the heroes that we already
kids
saw.
Kids or clones. It's unclear what they are.
Do you think we might get Kidpool? Like out of nowhere next issue, like because Deadpool did die, but you end up where these are like clone type deal. But again, I'm going with the idea of Omega Red. With it's kind of the offspring because of that. But yeah, he's there, and hey, the Omega Clan, go at it, and then we just get a fight. They do find him right away, and they're gonna fight him. It's okay. It looks good.
Yeah, they're Omega black,
decent enough.
Blue and red or something.
Yeah,
or white.
Black, blue, and white.
Yeah.
Black, white, and red. Yeah, the ones, and they're like, oh, what, you're all Omega Reds? No, idiot, you can see.
Just one.
I'm black and he's white, and here we go.
And then you see Colossus in the background. It's pretty obvious that it's him, I think, from the beginning. But
Yeah, so they're fighting, and they're going to, radiate him, and he's going to have boils, and he's going to do this, and it's a lot of like, I'm going to die, well, you first to go, and somebody's watching. They even say, what's this
like
camera?
A little drone thing flying around watching
and he's like, what's that for? It's for all the world to see. I was waiting for actually to go and see people betting and stuff like that and see Arcade.
At the saloon.
That'd be funny if Arcade was there, like setting up some
This is all arcade type stuff.
Yeah, we keep saying that on these things. So they're fighting. It's being watched. Sabretooth is watching. Colossus is watching. But you end up where he does take him down. he just, kills him and says, basically like a Running Man deal. I'm coming for you now, you asshole. And then he goes off. And and so then you see him there. And again, the whole play for me was he's saying like, hey, you Omega Clan, go get it for Daddy. Like, Daddy. And they go off to do it. This doesn't work. And then the next is, hey, by the way, your father is buried, Colossus. Why don't you get him? And there we go. We have the next deal would be this progeny of Colossus. So we'll see how
Which
it goes.
looks exactly like Colossus. I don't know.
Nah.
He's got his sister Ileana's sword.
He's got better hair, I think. But,
it's kind of a short forehead, low hairline.
Yeah. He seems pissed. Right?
He's jacked.
And I'm telling you, the only thing like with... we talked about it with the Spider-Man deal, but this 20 years later in the chair there, and you have Sabretooth who's definitely like, all right, I got to cut my hair again today. Like, it's done in such the perfect way to still look like him, but he's supposed to be 20 years older. So the big thing is his eye is missing.
Oh, yeah. But he's still wearing the full outfit. I was telling you this earlier. Like, it's just hanging. Those big old eyebrows. And, like, it seems like he's got better conditions now. He's like in a mansion or some sort of better house.
Saying. He's got that. He's still got mutton chops. And then
he's got HD come in TV.
And, you end up with, he's got drones going around.
4K maybe, yeah.
Deal. As I wanted Wolverine to go in, it's like, what's that stink? He's like, listen, I can't get this outfit off. This outfit is on. I'm crapping in it every day. It's just filling up here. Like, what is going on?
He's not going to the bathroom. No, it's a mess.
He's going right there. He's going to the bathroom.
It's a floating toilet he rides on.
Yeah, that'd be great. It makes a flush noise just to make him feel better. They ain't flushing anything. But what would you give this?
I still like the art a lot. I really do.
I
think the faces are awesome. I just like Greg Capullo's art just in general. 7, I think.
5.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm telling you, I was a 6. But once we saw Cap and Bucky, I don't know what the hell's going on.
Why? I don't know either.
That was weird.
Yeah.
And again, I do think that some of these things are just, hey, what do you want to draw?
There's no way they forgot about that main plot point, though. It's impossible.
It's weird. So maybe we'll find out that could this all be a dream? Could it all be like a simulation that they're doing and he breaks? I don't think so, but that was weird.
I mean, we could have our research department do some, Jason and Ruben, they could do some. I was
going to say, that's who the research department is. They can get on it. Get on it, boys.
Yeah.
We got to give them some drops, though. We pay them in drops is what they do.
That is true.
I'll tell you then.
We'll take suggestions on drops, whatever you want. We'll say it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it'll be like, what's that thing that you can call and get messages and stuff?
Cameo?
Cameo. We'll be Cameo for them. What's that? Ruben's an idiot. I'll just say stuff like that randomly.
Stork's got some good ones lined up.
That is true. Ruben loves everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to just keep saying things ridiculously so they can't use them. But they might. Though, again, I go to end up going in things and I'm like, what is going on with these things? Like, I see all the drops here. I'm like, that's going? That's going? Because I need to put Blackpink stuff in. So with that, because that's Blue Hollywood stuff. So with all of that, that's it. So we didn't quite love all the books. We tried to have fun with it, but I can't help but get mad at that Spider-Man. It's just, it's something where when people say, well, why do you read it? Things like that. What I'm saying is, how could it be getting worse? Like, at one point, you keep reading because you think it's going to get better. You hope it's going to get better. But with Nick Lowe in charge, it doesn't seem like it will. It doesn't seem like it ever will. And that is a shame. And all it does for me is make me realize that how good I had it talking about Nick Spencer's stuff. That wasn't great, but it was better than this. Brandon hates Nick Spencer. That was the biggest problem with that. Like, you can't stand Nick Spencer. What he couldn't deal with it. He couldn't forgive him. He was done with him. And but that was probably, since I've been doing the podcast and doing the things, that's the best it's been. That's the best that Amazing Spider-Man's been. Because then was the Beyond stuff. Then we get the Zeb Wells stuff. Now we get this 8 deaths, and none of it is good. The events have been horrible. The crossovers have been bad. You even said you're pining for Gang War.
Mm-hmm. I'm fondly reflecting upon Gang War.
Remember think back when we're talking to Gang War and we're looking at the map and we're like, what is this stuff? We're not seeing half of these guys. It was so ridiculous.
And the big fight in Central Park.
Yeah, the big showdown. It was bad. It was pretty bad. But yeah, I guess it was maybe better than 8 deaths, though. I don't know, because that had so many tie-ins. that were really bad too. There weren't very good tie-ins in that either. So now we could pine for like what's it called with what was that deal where they were with the with Ben Reilly and he wanted the memories back. Now I can't even remember. I was going to call it like Dark something or whatever when they were doing all that ended up with the Limbo Embassy.
Yeah, what was that?
Remember with the sentient mailboxes and talking sandwiches? Dark Web. That's not what it was.
Dark Web's bad. I'm not going to vouch for that one.
That was so bad. That was and that was kind of in my mind like already have night terrors at DC. Then we get there going like this.
Throw Cody Ziegler in there and it was over.
Yeah. People have stopped yelling at me about that Deadpool, and even people seem to still like.
That's
Miles,
still going on.
Yeah, it seems
both of them.
yeah. People seem to like Miles. I think that he's a joke. I don't think he's very good. I think his dialogue is terrible. I also remember people telling me that Spider-Punk, the second deal of Spider-Punk was the greatest thing ever after one issue. I swear to God, if you told me it was canceled after that, I believe.
I want to say that it didn't make a full run. No,
I think it did.
Yeah, it did.
But I think it did. I think it was only like 4 or 5 issues, but the idea, I think nobody read it, and it just disappeared. They were all talking about that one, telling me I was foolish for saying that it was ridiculous and yelling about. Remember, the big thing in that we were yelling about the lay of the land of Philadelphia and what you would eat.
Yes.
That was the only thing that we were into.
Something about popcorn or something?
Yeah, it was popcorn. Like, we're in Philly. We eat the popcorn. Like, what? Me and you are both from the area. We're like, we ain't eating no popcorn.
I was born in Philadelphia. I know.
Nobody rightly seeks out popcorn unless you're at a movie. Like, it's something that you get in a particular situation in my mind.
Yes.
Not sitting there like.
It's situational food.
Yeah, I'm like, I either can have a steak sandwich or some popcorn. There's no question. Maybe if you like black licorice or popcorn, then the popcorn has now become suddenly, the most delicious thing ever with that. Though I will point out, just as a side to give some shade, Wes from Thinking Critical loves black licorice.
Well, you got to cut all ties with him.
I'm like, you're ridiculous. I said that is a flavor that is gone. That it's not even in my mind viable nowadays. It is extinct itself out of the palate. It's like there's nobody that sits.
If I knew you were a black licorice user, I wouldn't talk to you. I wouldn't even interact with you. That shows that you
just have no sort of taste ever. That you could do that, and he's like, and
it's
then
a deal breaker.
He's like, and he even got it wrong because he said Jägermeister, but he's like, what he meant was like, it's because you must not like Sambuca or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, because that gets you drunk. Like, I'm not eating the licorice. I'm not enjoying it. I'm not loving the flavor of Sambuca, but if somebody gives it to you and you drink it. But
yeah, it's a shot.
It's not what I'm asking for.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful. Yet I'd rather have like a Rumpelmitz or a Jägermeister. With that, that's the end. So there we go. One of our longest shows. Version. One of the longest shows we've had in quite some time. That's Spider-Man. We couldn't stop with that one. But yeah, the books aren't great. Maybe they'll get better sometime. I don't know. Marvel's weird. People will crow at the idea of Marvel doesn't reboot. Well, maybe that should be something then.
Please reboot.
Because you need a lot of books to change. You need a lot of books to go away. You need some others to come in with new creative teams and get people excited because I don't see any excitement at all for Marvel books. And it's sad, even though I'm more of a DC guy, I'll admit it. But when I see when we put up reviews and things on YouTube, I see what is the most popular. And Spider-Man's the one that everybody loves.
It's
and
simple.
They want it to be good.
Stop what you're doing and hire the best artists and best writers for Spider-Man. It's not
for Spider-Man.
hard.
Stop there. They have to, you set the house going.
Yes.
You go Spider-Man first.
Once you do that, everything clicks into place.
And don't go with here's the thing, Nick Lowe. Don't sit there and laugh at your ass off about Paul when everybody ends up telling you, whether he thinks that it's whatever, it's still but nobody likes your book over the Ultimate Spider-Man. That should be a contest in your head of we have to be better than that. In my mind, I'd be tooth and nail showing that we're better. Whether or not we're going to bring back the family or whatever, we're going to show you why our book's better, and he doesn't care. He's worried about doing stupid tweets that make no sense. Again,
and
the guy
letters.
is trying to hype a book and says that the one issue of Spider-Man, don't read this while operating heavy machinery, which is a warning for drowsiness. That's how bad he is. He doesn't even get that right. He's the worst hype man. He has a face that you want to slap, allegedly. And you just
Well,
like
he keeps putting it in the back of the issue so you can see it.
Yeah, and it's always there where you can see, when you see that face, you just see him like saying, you're not going to get what you want, and I'm going to laugh about it. It's not a likable face.
No.
It's a swarmy, it's like, I'm telling you, him and Mark Russell, I think they have the same kind of face that it's just like, I'm smarter than you. You guys are all morons. You this and that. And then he pokes at everybody thinking that bad press is any press, great press, whatever. You are at a point where you are desperately teetering on people leaving comics, and you're the reason why they're doing a lot of it. And why do you want to do that? Why do you want to ruin it for people who enjoy comics? They just want to enjoy it. They don't enjoy yelling about you. I kind of do, but the idea, you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather be here saying that all these books were the greatest thing ever, and oh my God, I can't wait till next issue. Not, let's see what happens next issue in this bull crap. Like, that's not the same.
Well, they're taking the stupid knock it down and then build it back up to the extreme. These guys are. I mean, they're just going run after run and again, tearing it down.
And they won't even say like, well, we're
just
looking,
to get it back
Mary
to where
Jane
it was.
and Peter, whatever, see whatever. It's like, no, nobody wants it. You guys are minority in there. Everybody else is fine with it. Look at all the letters that I wrote. I mean, people wrote in.
Mm-hmm.
And every letter's like, man, that Zeb Wells is killing it. I'm like, if you could find 5 people who said that, I'd be amazed. And they have like 50 already in the letters. Canvas a real extended
canvas
deal.
the entire country and you won't find 5 people.
Seriously, the only one who's that stupid to like anything like that's Ruben. See, I wanted to give him a drop at the end. Somebody would hear that and like, man, that guy's an asshole. Yes. Here's a drop for you guys. This is for them, just for them. I think they do a really good job on the Weird Dose of X. Jason and Ruben do just the right amount of research and talk that really does pique my interest, but leaves me wanting more. There you go. That was my reviewer something I would say to get on the back cover.
Yeah, I mean, and mine's like they read the book, so I don't have to.
Yeah, really, it's like I love where we just try to finagle any sort of issue into there. They did talk a little Ultimate Wolverine. Maybe we could get them to do the rest. They hated it too.
Next issue, technically, of Amazing Spider-Man is an X-Men book, so
that is true. That is, and I think that I think every issue. I mean, granted, Wolverine Revenge. I mean,
X-Men. Well, you know when it's bad when it doesn't tie into the X-Men books. You know that's when it's bad because they're not.
It might be good. Yeah. Oh, you mean the X-Men?
Yeah. The offices aren't. The offices aren't. That used to be huge to get in together like that. I mean,
see, and that's as we said, Spider-Man. Then the next deal is X-Men, and you start off with X-Men and Uncanny X-Men. That's it. Go with those 2 books.
Nothing else.
Build them up. Get characters. Characters branch out to then make X-Force, then to make X-Factor, or whatever you want to do. Exceptional. That crap. But yeah, don't just put out 18 million books when you don't even have a good creative team for one.
They went crazy with the Krakoa stuff, and now they have to match those numbers.
That's what it is. That's what Tom Brevoort said.
Yeah,
he said that every
business is like that. It's ridiculous.
Yep. So there you go.
We have to beat the numbers from last year.
Get them on, and then what they do is instead like, oh my God, these aren't selling, more books. That's what they do. They don't try to get things better or reel it back. They have to have more books to make up for that lost sales then. And that's
what you need to do is don't look at what you did last year. Look at what you did 15 years ago, 20 years when it was great, and do that again.
Chasing the horse.
Yes.
Doing the H. But yeah, that's it. Now we're done. We are done. Thank you, everybody. Nobody's listening now, so I'll hit one more. A little Jenny from Blackpink. But
nice.
That is it. Thank you for joining me, Matt. Thanks, everybody, including the stupendous Weird Dose of X that you can end up listening usually on Tuesday nights. We ended up having to record Tuesday night this week because of the holiday, and we didn't get the review copies in time. Well, got them today. So now we went over any sort of deal. I even told you we're going to do it quick because I got to go edit that deal now. Forever. We got mad. So there you go. But that's it. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We are done. Thank you, and we will talk to you later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.